All right, guys, we're back again today, and what we're going to be working on is our volleys. We're going to go through a set of drills where we start with a warm-up, we hit a bunch of different targets, we do live ball, we do volley volley, we do different strategic drills, and it's just going to be a day where we show you the different drills we would do to really improve our doubles and our singles game, show you some different patterns, and just really kill it. So hopefully you like it, and stay tuned. So the first drill that we're going to be doing today is we're going to be doing volley volley from just inside the service line. Some things to make sure of when you're doing this drill is you really don't want to start too close. A lot of people, especially intermediate beginner players or people who aren't quite as experienced with volleying, they want to press in super close to the net, and then they start banging volleys right back and forth to each other. They never get in a rhythm. They're constantly hitting at each other's feet, and the rallies last about 2 to 3 balls, right? Because they're way too close and they're hitting way too hard. Start back at the service line or just inside the service line. Focus on your footwork, hit back and forth and get in a good rhythm before you decide to change it up. So let's pop into it. All right, guys, so some tips for the volley volley section of this. What you're going to want to make sure you're doing is you're going to want to really focus on your footwork. You're going to want to make sure that you're split stepping every point. You're going to want to make sure that you're actually stepping and that you're recovering after you hit the shot. It's super important for this drill. You really don't want to get complacent and just standing there, because it's really easy, because sometimes the person's hitting it back to you really well, to get complacent and just to kind of block it back and to stand up pretty straight. You want to make this as intense as possible, and you want to make it like you're actually hitting, right? You can still be relaxed and play intensely. Another thing behind that is you want to keep your volleys really flat. You don't want to start to do all sorts of crazy stuff, all sorts of slicing. Doesn't matter, just get a feel for them. Keep your volleys flat, a little bit of a follow through. Aim for chest height, waist height. Doesn't really matter, somewhere in that zone. Just make it nice and easy. Number 3, it's okay if it bounces. You don't need to stop the point if it bounces. You don't need to reset. It's actually a perfect habit to get into to actually learn how to pick up those shots, because those shots can be really difficult, and just getting the feeling of trying to pick those up and keep them low over the height of the net is something that's going to be really helpful to your game. So don't worry if the ball bounces or you hit it too low. Take that as a chance to pick that ball back up off the ground as a half volley and get used to that. All right, guys, the next drill we're going to be doing is another volley volley drill. This one's a slight variation on the last one we did. This one we're going to both start out about at the service line, maybe just inside or just outside the service line, and we're going to be hitting back and forth. But what's going to happen is one person is going to move to the deuce side of the court, or they're going to move right, and then you're also going to move right. So you're going to get farther away from each other, and you're going to keep hitting, you're going to keep volleying back and forth, working on controlling your volley depth and your volley height. And then once you get to each side of the court, so you're diagonal from each other, then you're going to slowly work it back to the center and go to the opposite side, and you're going to keep going for as long as you can. If you drop the ball, that's fine. Pick the ball back up, start hitting again. Let's do it. All right, now what we're gonna do, we're just gonna do a different variation on this drill. We're just gonna go to the same side. So we're both gonna move to the, to this side. We're gonna both move to that side. All right, so the next one we're gonna be doing is actually from about 3/4 court. We're gonna be volleying and going side to side or back and forth at the same time. This one is a really difficult drill, especially because you have to be really on point with your footwork. You have to actually make sure your weight's going into the court and your timing is very, very good. Otherwise, that ball's just gonna die and not go over the net. This is a drill that I first saw by the Bryan brothers. I don't see it too often, but I think it's definitely good with controlling our racket head. So controlling the actual face of our racket, making sure you have a perfect contact point, and you're just really dialing in on your balls. All right, so this is a super tough drill. It's not easy at all. It's definitely gonna push you to your limits on volleys because you're gonna see how off you can be with your contact point. You're gonna see how hard it is to control depth, especially at that level. Yeah, that is just it's a very tough drill. I recommend trying it out. I think it's gonna help. It's especially gonna help on those volleys where you have to come in and really deal with pace, because you actually have to work on generating some of your own power on your volleys. But that being said, it's not a beginner drill by any means.